and it must be environmentally clean. It's very important. Just because it is alternative energy source or renewable energy source, if it is going to again harm the environment, you cannot term it as an alternative energy source. It should be environmentally clean. Use of such energy sources should be environmentally clean. It should not again harm the environment. It should be available in large energy content, high energy content. Even in a given small amount of that energy source, it should be able to provide or deliver high energy. Just because it is alternative energy source with so much of volume or density or the mass, if the energy that we can get from such energy source is very less, is of not significant. And of course, it should be available in low cost, affordable, very important. Fuel economy is very, very important. Energy economy, very, very important. You can rate the wealth of your home based on the energy consumption. You know, right? How much amount of energy your home or domestic or industry is consuming, you can value the size of the home or wealth of the home. It has become like that. It should be available at low cost, easily storable, so that whenever, wherever you require, you can make use of them. Whenever, wherever you require, you can make use of them. And it should be economically transportable. It's not that energy is requiring only one place. It is dynamic, mobile. It should be mobile, wherever required. Okay, easily transportable, conveniently usable, not restricted to only daytime, not restricted to only land pattern, should not be restricted to only coastal regions. It should not be restricted to geographic. It should not be related. It should not be restricted to environmental conditions. It should be able to conveniently use any such alternative energy sources. Very importantly, such alternative energy source, use of which should not lead to any social unharmony. Socially compatible, so that everybody accepts use of such energy sources. Use of such sources should not lead to any social unharmony. So any alternative energy source which satisfies these attractive features, you can term them as a replenishable, sustainable energy sources. If you combine all these features, not many energy sources will survive. We have only countable number of alternative energy sources. So last class I have shown that at least 80 to 85% of the current energy demand is met by the chemical sources. That may be coal or fossil fuels, that includes coal, gasoline, or petrol or diesel or any carbon related materials. And you see here, this is as per the 2015 statistics. You can see that the renewable energy source is very, very minimum. Very, very minimum. Less than 3% also. But definitely most of the governments are pushing to make use of these renewable energy sources, so that our dependence on the carbon-based fuels which harm the environment can be reduced. So we have only countable number of renewable energy sources. That may be solar, wind, tidal, geothermal. Okay, bio also you can take. So as long as the universe exists, we will have sun radiations. But we know that sun radiation is available only in the daytime. And several nations, they are not getting the sun radiations. Effective sun radiations are not available most of the years, most of the days in a year. Typically Singapore, 80% of an year is cloudy. There are other countries, most of the days in a year is cloudy. They will not be even able to use solar panels or solar thermal technologies. And effective, even if you are getting an effective sun radiation is available only from 9 a.m. to 4 4 p.m. It's not available throughout the day. It's not available throughout the month or year, and it is not available throughout the day. It is only available in the daytime. But most of the domestic energy needs we require in the night time. Of course, industries, depending on the shifts or the type of the work that is going on with the industries, they may require in the night time or throughout the day or throughout whole day and night. If at all we have to use this energy source, we have to use during only in the daytime, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. On the other hand, wind is also geographically restricted. We will not be able to get sufficient wind speed throughout the land. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I encourage now and then, please, one of you keep talking. Even you tempt me to disturb, so that I am aware that you are on. I am online with you, because I am seeing only my screen. I am not seeing any of your name or anybody. Okay, so I am not able to see whether I am online or it is disconnected, unless I don't know. It's difficult for me in the Google Meet.
We will do, sir.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. So wind pattern is not available throughout the globe. It depends on the geographical locations. It depends on the land pattern and the surface temperature variations. With all these only, there can be a sufficient speed of wind that can be converted into electrical energy using the wind turbines. And you know that it requires a huge land. Okay, so huge space is required, and the energy generated either from the solar panel or wind turbines, it need not be used on the site. Most of the time it has to be transported from one place to the end users. We all know that, which requires huge infrastructure. Okay, so transportation of wind energy from its source of generation to the end user requires a huge infrastructure. Similarly for the solar, of course, even for the atomic power or any other large power generation, usually on-site usage of the electricity generated either by any means is not all. It has to be transmitted to the end users with huge infrastructure. We know that the inherent nature of this transmission is always associated with 30 to 40% of the power loss or energy loss. It is as equal as not generated. With the so much expenses or efforts you generate using wind turbine or solar panel, but during the transmission to the end users, 40% is lost. 40% generated energy is lost. This is inherent nature. Maybe we may have to have superconductor to transmit power from one place to another place, or from place of the source of generation to the end users. You may minimize the power losses, but who would be afford to have superconductors in all the places? If all the grids have to be replaced by superconductors, how much expenses it would have been? Even to run one this magnetic levitation from Shanghai airport to Shanghai city, so much expenses. There was another one in Germany. It's so expensive. You have to maintain the track as well as the wheel of the train liquid nitrogen temperature throughout 24 hours by 7 with liquid nitrogen. Who would be afford to run that? It is so fascinating, and it runs between the Shanghai airport to Shanghai. Otherwise, very, very expensive. Of course, you have other merits of using magnetic levitation. You can cross 50 kilometers in about 5 minutes. Half of the flight acceleration. So it's difficult unless we are going to invent a new superconductor which can work at room temperature. So if I ask you what is the superconducting current temperature, I'm sure some of you or few of you will be able to tell. It was 40 Kelvin, 90 Kelvin, 153 Kelvin with the mercury based 123 compound. What is the current superconducting temperature? The new material, I'm sure one of or few of you will be able to tell. But still we have not reached to the stage where we can have the superconductor at room temperature. No. Even the last 2 years before invention made in IIC Bangalore using silver, what silver? Silver, what is another material? Similar to silver, gold silver alloy embedded in a matrix. Gold silver alloy embedded in a matrix. There was a climb close to room temperature superconductivity, but still many things have to be cleared. So if we can replace all the grids with the superconductors, we may be able to reduce their power loss. But otherwise, we have to go for storage of such energy source, energy derived from renewable energy sources. There comes the role of energy storage devices. It may be a battery or electrochemical energy means or any other means of energy storage. It may be a pump or solar thermal or electrochemical, etc. Whether it is electrical, electrochemical or any other energy storage means they should be affordable in nature and in efficiently it should be able to store it. It should be able to efficiently store it. Anybody would like to add to this? You are welcome to so.
How does each country decide how much gigawatt of power for its renewable source should be utilized? Like
how the country decides how much energy demand is required for such countries?
For how much renewable energy should be utilized for the country. For example, let's say that, I'm sure that 100% of the India's energy needs is not made with renewable energy. Some percent of it. How do the country decide whether 10%, 20%, 30% should be renewable by this time? By 2030, India should be 50%.
So anyway, the energy sources is not going to be the same. Okay, so maybe 20 years before, 30 years before, the governments did not realize the importance of renewable energy sources or use of any such sources. But now countries cannot be keeping mum. They should think. Many countries have already made a policy or taking effort to make use of renewable energy sources. It is not possible to all of a sudden to go towards renewable energy, though it may be available. Technology may be available. It may be suitable to have renewable energy technologies implemented, but it is not possible to implement all of a sudden throughout the land, throughout the countries, because whether it is a wind energy or solar energy or any other energy sources, it requires infrastructure. The infrastructure which is available for non-renewable energy source transmission, it cannot be simply used for this one. Okay, so it requires additional effort or maybe new infrastructures. So that's why it is in a phased manner the countries are implementing. At least by this year, 3% of the renewable energy should be implemented. At least by 2030, 30% of the renewable energy should be utilized for the domestic applications or government buildings like this. And there are many incentives. We cannot be keeping quiet, okay, because the environment is getting degraded, use of such fossil fuels and the availability of these fossil fuels are also getting depleted. So we need to shift towards use of renewable energy sources, definitely. And it's not going to happen all of a sudden, in a phased manner only. So that's why, so in India, it has started even 10, 15 years before itself. At least this government, previous two governments, they have set a policy and they named it. It was set with some percentage of utilization of energy. I think it was very minimum, then increased to very large. so much gigahertz, gigawatt power. So in phased manner it is being done. But the point is, countries have to move to utilize use of renewable energy sources. And we know how much energy is demanded. For example, we are in Pondicherry. We know how much energy is required each day. Pondicherry University, okay, even it can be Pondicherry University or even Pondicherry City. How much energy is requiring? So that number is known. Number is available. Maybe some parts is not having electricity, maybe on each day. But we know how much energy is required. We know how much energy is required for this building where we are working, or this campus, and the city. And then whole nation also is possible to know. So out of which, so how much percentage in a phased manner one can move towards use of renewable energy, based on that they progress. The energy demand of any country, the government of each government should be knowing. Okay, each government maybe should be knowing. Otherwise, so how they can run, how they can function, how they can provide the facilities to the public. Okay, I hope I responded.
Yes, sir.
Who is that?
Sir, Ishwar Chandra.
Okay, okay. Okay, so this classification I usually give, this is taken from Professor Varadaraj book, IIT Chennai professor, on fuel cells. It's a textbook classification of energy sources. So energy sources can be basically classified into two types: primary energy sources or resources, and secondary energy resources. Primary you can call natural, secondary you can call synthetic. Again, natural or primary energy resources can be further divided into conventional, non-conventional, or alternative. So conventional, what I mean is the fossil fuels, which includes coal, petroleum, natural gas, CNG, all those carbon-related fuels, biotic components, okay, hydro, pumped, nuclear, all these are conventional. You see that most of the energy that we get or we are using currently is coming from these primary conventional sources of energies, which are mostly replenishable. Which are mostly non-replenishable, excuse me, which are finite. Fossil fuel abundance is very finite. Under primary non-conventional alternative, so solar, wind, water, all these are grouped. You can get electricity from these sources, similar to this. Okay, so indirectly you have to use these sources to get the electricity. Then secondary or synthetic energy resources can be further divided into conventional and non-conventional. Okay, so coal is a natural, but gasoline, kerosene are derived from them. Synthetic fuels, secondary or derived energy sources. And all these electrochemical energy sources are grouped under secondary non-conventional alternative energy sources, which includes batteries, fuel cells, supercapacitor, magneto-hydrodynamic, etc. So you name any energy source, you will be able to fit anywhere, any of these classifications. What are electrochemical energy sources or power sources? They are devices which convert chemical energies associated with the components, maybe anode, cathode, sometimes electrolytes, into electrical energy. Electrochemical energy sources or electrochemical power sources are the devices which are capable of converting the chemical energies available with the fuel molecules. Need not be fuel molecule, it may be a material, can convert into electrical energy. We have 4 such devices: batteries, supercapacitors, fuel cells, photoelectrochemical cells. Batteries, supercapacitors, fuel cells, photoelectrochemical cells. For simplicity, I will remove these photoelectrochemical cells. So I will restrict myself with these 3 devices: batteries, supercapacitors, and fuel cells. There is an electrochemistry involved in photoelectrochemical cells, otherwise known as Gratzel cell or dye-sensitized solar cells. There is an electrochemistry, definitely. Photo-induced electrochemical reactions, electrochemical redox reactions, responsible for the generation of the electricity in Gratzel cell or Michael Gratzel cell, simply dye-sensitized solar cells. Maybe the modern terminology is QDSSC, you know. Whether it is a battery, supercapacitor, or fuel cells, they are basically electrochemical cells, electrochemical cells, are typically known as galvanic cell. Galvanic cell. What is an electrochemical cell or what is a galvanic cell? Which consists of 3 primary components: anode, cathode, and an electrolyte. Anode, cathode, and an electrolyte. 3 major components. Combination of these 3 components will able to produce a positive potential. If any electrochemical cell which develops a positive potential, when the circuits are closed, you can blindfold and term it as an galvanic cell. Galvanic cell. So now it comes, what is an electrode? Then we will talk about anode and cathode. Define an electrode. What is an electrode? Can anything be an electrode?
Current carrying conductors.
Conductors are electrodes. Electrodes are conductors. All the conductors are electrodes. Will it be okay?
No, sir.
No, sir. All the electrodes are conductors.
All the electrodes are conductors. The other way. The other way. Either it should undergo reaction. Either it should undergo oxidation or reduction, or on which the reaction should take place. Then such conductors you can term it as an electrode. Platinum cannot be, it is not undergoing oxidation. But platinum is a very good electrode, electrochemically. You cannot avoid electrochemistry without touching platinum, but on which a reaction can be conducted. Carbon, difficult to oxidize electrochemically, of course to reduce also electrochemically. But on carbon, you can even oxidize methanol, ethanol, hydrogen, carbon monoxide electrochemically. Then carbon electrode. Whereas you see here, zinc is used as an electrode, copper is also used as an electrode with the help of an electrolyte. Zinc undergoes oxidation. Zinc corrodes into zinc ion, producing zinc 2 plus and an electron and 2 electrons. It's an electrode. And we know that zinc is a metal and it must be a conductor. It is a conductor, not must be, it is a conductor. Similarly, copper dipped in its solution, that is the electrode. The electrode or the conductor must always should be in a contact with their own ion or some electrolyte. Sol carbon is not an electrode. Sol platinum is not an electrode. It should be immersed in an electrolyte. It may be acid, base, neutral, aqueous, non-aqueous. Then only it is an electrode. Then when you close the circuit, either on such material or on such conductor, the reaction should take place, or such conductor itself should undergo oxidation or reduction. Then such conductors are known as electrodes. So copper, in connection with the copper salt, we know that when you dissolve copper salt in water, so it will produce copper 2 plus, depending on the salts that you are dissolving. So when the circuit is connected, copper 2 plus accepts the electron and deposits as a copper metal, on which the reaction is taking place. On this itself undergoing reaction. Then zinc is termed as an electrode, copper is also termed as an electrode. Then why we call this zinc as an anode and copper as a cathode? The textbook definition says that anode is where oxidation taking place. What is an oxidation? Leo. What is Leo? Some of you may know. Loss of electron is oxidation. Zinc is losing 2 electrons to become zinc 2 plus. 2 electrons are lost from the zinc metal. Loss of electron is oxidation, Leo. So since the oxidation is taking place on this conductor, you name it as a anode. In an electrochemical cell, or generally where the oxidation is taking place, such conductor, such electrode is termed as an anode. What is Leo? Literal meaning of Leo? What is the literal meaning of Leo? It's a character, right? Leo means what? I'll give you. What is it, Leo?
Loss of electrons is oxidation.
That is expansion. Literal meaning of Leo. Scorpio. Leo. Have you heard about all these things? Signs or characteristics? Leo means lion. Leo means lion. How it makes noise or how it makes sound? Gir. You would have studied all these things in lower classes. Leo, loss of electron is oxidation. Leo means lion. It snores or it makes noise. Gir. G-E-R. Gain of electron is reduction. What is gain of electron? Copper 2 plus is there in this solution, in this compartment. Copper 2 plus accepts 2 electron and becomes copper metal and deposits on the electrode. Gain of electron is reduction. Copper 2 plus gains 2 electrons and you name this electrode as a cathode. Zinc metal releases or loses 2 electrons and you name it as a anode. It's very fundamental. You would have learned it definitely. It is simultaneous process. Oxidation and reductions should occur simultaneously. That's why we call these as the redox reactions. Reduction oxidation reactions. Reduction oxidation reactions. In one hand, in one compartment where oxidation is taking place. In another compartment, reduction is taking place. They must be bridged. They must be integrated. Either you can have a separate vessels integrate with a something like this. What is this known as? Salt bridge. Something is bridging using salt. What salt? It can be a, depending on the solution you use here, it can be a nitrate, chloride, etc. What is the purpose of this salt bridge? It bridges the ions, makes the charge neutrality of the ions, provides or takes care of the neutrality, ion neutrality of both the compartment. Once you complete the circuit using wires, maybe you can have a voltmeter to read the potential, or if load is connected, you connect the ammeter also to read the current, or you directly connect the load. If the electrodes are active, if the species that is immersed are active electrochemically, and the cell potentials are positive, if the load is met, then the device that is connected to this device will start functioning. It may be an LED, it may be a toy fan, or any other consumer electronics. Electrochemical cell, typically known as galvanic cell. They are also known as voltaic cells. They are also known as voltaic cell. Consist of three major components: anode, cathode, and an electrolyte. Now we know what is an anode, what is a cathode. What is the purpose of electrolyte? It serves the mobility of ions. It serves the purpose of electrolyte to transfer the ions between the compartment. Takes care of the ion neutrality. Electron will travel through the circuit, ion will travel through this salt bridge. Can anyone name this salt bridge modern terminology? If you have come across, what could be the name for this salt bridge modern terminology?
Ion bridge.
Please. Electrolyte. Modern terminology for the salt bridge.
Ion bridge, sir. Ion bridge.
Ion bridge. Okay.
Yes, sir.
We'll come back to that. So the electrolyte serves the purpose of ion mobility, transfer the ion between the compartment through salt bridge. I reserve that modern terminology. So let's see features about a galvanic cell or voltaic cell. By now you know that the galvanic cell is an electrochemical cell which develops positive potential when the circuit is connected or closed. When it can develop positive potential, we should remember that so it has got anode and a cathode and electrolyte. Ions are moving. If the circuit is connected, when it develops a positive potential, something should take place. Then only the potential will be generated. Good morning, Edmalai. Yes, madam. Yes, madam. So I'm in class, madam. Maybe I can call you after some time. Yeah. So I got call yesterday also, madam. You please go ahead. I will join, madam. So I can join sometime later, madam. Yeah. I told Mr. Giridharan to go ahead with other committee. He has put me in several committees, several departments also. So please go ahead, madam. Yeah. Thank you. So something should happen, then only it can develop potentials. Oxidation should take place at the anode. Reduction should take place at cathode. It should occur simultaneously. It means that The reduction reaction and oxidation reactions taking place in the galvanic cells are spontaneous. We have previously seen, I don't know whether we have seen that or not. What is the criteria for spontaneity? What is the criteria for spontaneity? Have you studied? I don't know whether I have told you or not.
Delta G 0, sir.
Yes. Very good. Any process which must be thermodynamically spontaneous should be associated with a negative free energy change. In electrochemical cell or galvanic cell or voltaic cells, when we say the reactions are spontaneous, they are associated with the reaction. Electrochemical redox reactions are associated with the negative free energy change. A device that spontaneously produces electricity by redox reactions. The anode reactions are spontaneous, cathode reactions are spontaneous. It means their associated free energy change, delta G, is negative. If the delta G is positive, what it mean? It means the process will not take place. If the delta G is 0, we all know that the process or the reaction is in equilibrium. 3 conditions we can have, 3 states we can have for any reaction, any process: spontaneous, non-spontaneous, equilibrium. All spontaneous reactions or all spontaneous processes are associated with a negative free energy change, delta G negative. Higher this number, better the spontaneity. So it means ease of doing or conducting such reactions. You don't have to make effort. You will have to make an effort if the delta G is positive. It cannot happen sometimes. Not sometimes. It cannot happen unless you do something. I used to tell this: all natural phenomena, all natural events are spontaneous. Water falls from the upway. To take the water from the bottom to the height, 4th floor, 5th floor, or even 1st floor, you will have to spend the energy. But once you open the tap in the 1st floor, water can be drained, spontaneous. It's like that. All natural events are spontaneous process and irreversible. All natural events are spontaneous and irreversible. The reactions taking place in galvanic cell, voltaic cell, or electrochemical cells are spontaneous. Once you complete the circuit, zinc immersed in a zinc electrolyte, copper immersed in a copper electrolyte, suitably integrate using a salt bridge and close the circuit. Zinc will undergo corrosion, producing zinc 2 plus. Copper 2 plus will accept 2 electron released by the zinc, will become copper and deposit on the copper electrode. After some time, you will be able to read the potential 1.1 at least. You please wait how this 1.1 comes. This class or next class. Positive potential. You believe it or not, this is a battery. Whether it is a primary battery or secondary batteries, that is different. All electrochemical cells are, you can term it as a battery, because they all develop positive potential. There is a fascinating question. Why we are not having so many batteries, only countable number of batteries? You will get to know the answer after this unit. Okay. So the reactions taking place are spontaneous. It produces the electricity or potential or energy spontaneously. And electrochemical cells consist of 2 half cells. Electrode we know. An electrode is a conductor immersed in a solution, ion conducting solution. Iron rod dipped in a acid is an electrode. Iron rod alone is not an electrode. Carbon alone is not an electrode. Carbon dipped in a sulfuric acid is an electrode. Platinum alone is not an electrode. Platinum dipped in a acid or base is an electrode. The conductor in connection with a solution or an electrolytic solution is an electrode. So all electrochemical cells consist of two half cells, anode compartment, cathode compartment. And we know that anode is where oxidation is taking place and cathode is where reduction taking place. Anode is always designated as a negative, cathode is always designated as a positive. Once the circuit is connected, so the electron flow from anode to cathode. During charging and during discharging, the reverse should take place. You should apply the current. So for anode, negative sign is given because in case of zinc, in case of Lagrange cell or galvanic cell, zinc undergoes corrosion. It produces zinc 2 plus and 2 electrons. One zinc atom produces 2 electrons. Hundreds of thousands of zinc atoms are undergoing oxidation, ionizing, corrosion, producing so many electrons. So much negative charge is built. So you designate as a negative sign. There is excess of negative charges at the anode. You term as a negative. Whereas electrons are consumed at the cathode, there is a depletion of the negative charges or electrons. You literally designate as a positive. So this brings anodes are otherwise called as negative electrode, cathodes are otherwise called as positive electrodes. If I ask you to name what is the positive electrode in lithium-ion battery, I'm sure you'll be able to tell the cathode. Similarly, if I ask you to name what is the negative electrode in lead-acid battery, you'll be able to tell what is anode. Correct? Yes. Okay. So separately, this is an op cell. So if you connect two op cells, you are bridging, you are constructing an electrochemical cell. It may be a voltaic cell, galvanic cell, or Lagrange cell. There is a little difference. If they are separated, anode compartment, cathode compartments are separated, or instead of this salt bridge, you can have one compartment with the porous nature and you can immerse them in a single vessel. This is Lagrange cells. This is galvanic voltaic cells. Now the salt bridge has been replaced. This salt bridge has been replaced. In these days, in modern battery technologies, it's not just a porous membrane. It is a separator, a characteristic material which allow only particular ion to pass through. It's a separator. Salt bridge, we named it here. Modern terminology for this salt bridge is separator. Separator. What is the purpose of this separator or the salt bridge? We already know it transfers the ions between the compartment. In addition to that, it avoids the short circuiting of anode and the cathode. Otherwise, if the circuit is connected, you'll be able to see only zero potential if it is short circuiting. To avoid the short circuiting, okay, to separate the anode and the cathode compartment, sometimes to separate the electrolyte, you need to have the salt bridge. Modern terminology is membrane or separator. So in olden days, these salt bridges were used. For example, nitrates, ammonium nitrate, potassium nitrate, sodium sulfate, or potassium chloride. At least one ion should be common. It should be common to these electrolyte. If you are using zinc sulfate, you should be using sodium sulfate. If you are using zinc nitrate, you should be using nitrate as a salt bridge. Usually, so I don't know whether you had that experience of making this salt bridge or not. It's easy to make in any lab. You'll have to take this U-tube type glass tube. So take some amount of this salt, mix it with an agar-agar, an inert material, a carbohydrate, heat it, you will get a syrupy liquid, you pour it and dry it. So then immerse it in electrolyte, it will start conducting the ions. So now such effort is not required. Like a paper, you can have a separator. So when the offline classes are open, allowed, you can come and have a look. So we have meters of such separators used for lithium-ion batteries, other battery types, sodium-ion batteries, or metal-head batteries. So these are the characteristic of galvanic cell. The reactions are spontaneous, anode cathode reactions are spontaneous, it produces the electricity, and very importantly, it shows positive potential. Galvanic cells, voltaic cells, Lagrange cell, electrochemical cells develop positive potentials. They consist of two of cells, where in one compartment oxidation is taking place, another compartment reduction taking place. Anode designated as a negative sign, cathode designated a positive, and they are held to be integrated with a salt bridge, old name, and modern terminology is membrane or separator. Similar to electrochemical cells, these cells are also technologically important. We know that all electrochemical cells are batteries. They are electrolytic cells. They are also equally important technologically. What are their features? The reactions are not spontaneous, and the cell voltage is not positive. Many times zero, negative, not even zero, negative. A combination of two electrodes, one anode and a cathode, if they give negative potential, such cell is known as electrolytic cell, which are also technologically important. You believe it or not, aluminum was once regarded as a precious metal. Not the platinum, gold, silver, ruthenium, rhodium, iridium, etc. Aluminum was regarded as a precious metal. Only those days, the kings only had that material. It was precious. Aluminum-based utensils. Now we know where the aluminum stand. What purpose aluminum is used. How much regard we devote to the aluminum, we all know. It all before the utilization of these electrolytic cells. Electro-refining of bauxite into aluminum. Before invention of electrolytic refining of bauxite into aluminum, aluminum was regarded as a precious metal. Thanks to this technology, electrolytic cells, electrolytic reduction, electrochemical reduction, electro-refining. Then so much bauxite had been converted into aluminum. Then the precious nature has almost lost. Now we know what are the precious elements. Aluminum is no longer a precious element because so much abundance of aluminum is available from the bauxite, or it has been converted into aluminum by means of electro-refining. Similarly, electro-refining of copper, electro-refining of zinc, and many such materials or metals are made by the use of these electrolytic cells, electrolytic reduction. where you will have to supply the current potentials to drive the reactions, because the reactions are not spontaneous. Tons of metals are electro refined, not just zinc, copper, aluminum. Many such metals are made. There are many big players throughout the globe. Copper electro refining, very famous industries, even in India. Zinc electro refining. You see here, you can see few names: Caminco, British Columbia. And there is a very big copper electro refining venture in Australia. They all make use of electrolytic cells. They supply the potential current to drive the reactions, and the copper 2 plus is getting reduced to copper, aluminum 3 plus is getting reduced to aluminum, and you get a metal from the bauxite, from the copper ore to copper metal. Not only that, chloralkali you would have heard. Sodium hypochlorite. It's one of the disinfectant these days. Very much, many companies have come up. Electrolysis of water into hydrogen and oxygen is another technologically important technology, where the electrolytic cells find their usage. These are the differences between the electrolytic cell and the electrochemical cells. When you talk about spontaneity, in the galvanic cell or voltaic cell, the reactions are spontaneous, whereas non-spontaneous in electrolytic cell. The cell potential is positive in the case of galvanic cell or electrochemical cell, and it is negative in the electrolytic cell. So these are all common. So anode is where oxidation taking place, reduction is where cathode is where reduction taking place. Okay. Strongest oxidizing agent undergoes reduction. Something is reducing means it will undergo oxidation on its own. Similarly, vice versa for anode. Okay. So the electron can flow from anode to cathode during charging and reverse during the discharging, even in the case of electrolytic cells. So there should be a maintaining of electrolytic ions. Then only that is served by or taken care by the membrane or salt bridge. I think we will stop now. We will continue the next class. Rest. If anybody would like to make some comments, clarifications, additions, suggestions, you can do so. Thank you.